Morality. Tonight, Kamran Pasha joins us from the not-too-distant past to talk about everything that took place during Star Wars Celebration. Well, was he right or wrong? We'll find out tonight on the Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast. And welcome to tonight's Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast. John, you're bleeding through a little hard there.
I'm bleeding? Oh no.
Yeah, you've got background audio leaking through. Stephanie Janizek, Smuggler's Cantina's in here, says, hey, freaking weirdo. Hey, good to see you too. Glad you're here. Glad you made it. Yeah, we've got Star Wars Andor Season 2 coming out tonight. And so, with that, we're starting our show a little earlier than normal. And, oh, I gotta set the chat so it doesn't disappear at all, because it's not a game stream. It is a hang out and talk to people stream. So, you can hang out and talk to people. Yeah, so we've got Andor Season 2. We had a Star Wars Celebration in Japan, and there was a lot of buzz about the Star Wars Celebration and what the implications were with you know, first we had that Oscar Isaac was canceled because of scheduling conflicts, and then you know, Sparrow reported that apparently Johnny Boy threatened to make sure that the actor who played Poe Dameron would never have a job again unless he canceled his Star Wars Celebration plans, and maybe he wants to rework the character into something else. I don't know. But what I do know is that we've got a lot of information to get into, and really it's just going to be Cameron talking, because, yeah, that's a lot of how our conversations go is, well, yeah. So, Well, sorry, people. I'm a little bit under the weather. As much as I prepared ahead today, I'm still figuring out the particulars. But John, why don't you chime in real quick before we go to the past and consult with Cameron?
Great to be here. My name's John, and I'm an entertainment holic. It has been 72 minutes since I consumed my last piece of digital media, aka
wow.
Marvel Rivals. My little son's playing behind me.
I
And
get around to
I have
trying to
nothing
get
else
that
to
game
say because I'm excited to see how the interview went.
Yeah, and we will get into the interview and we'll but first I wanted to say that we've been doing this show for over 3 years now. We're now starting we're over 2 months into year 4. And while most other channels typically have, 1,000 subscribers or more, the average channel has at least 1,000 or more. We haven't quite touched that mark. In fact, we haven't even gotten to the 500 mark. So we've decided to claim the title of longest running micro channel. And while there are many big average channels out there, it's about what we do with our channel, isn't it? I guess. I don't know. Well, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it to past PD and Cameron, and we'll see how this came out. Greetings again from the not too distant past. I'm past PD, joined by or present, I don't know, joined by Kamran Pasha to talk about our favorite topic, Star Wars.
Absolutely, and I'm excited to talk about this. Is a lot happening. It's one of those things where there's years go by where nothing happens, and then there's days go by that feels like years are happening. Something that quote goes something to that effect. You can correct me in the comments below as to how the quote goes, but that's the idea. We're in one of those moments where every day is like a year of information. A lot has been happening, and I think all of it for the good.
Yeah, definitely. We did have some insights, some things that came about with Star Wars Celebration, and so I think I wanted to just kind of go through here. I'll just read through some of these points that you said. It was a Patreon member who was actually keeping track of these for us.
Yes, it was a Patreon member. It's very great. My Patreon members cared enough to do so. Normally, I would go back and crow about my victories, but this person actually went through all of my posts over the last several months of things that I had been told by my sources inside of Lucasfilm Kennedy about things that were in development, and then that person compared them to what was announced at Celebration and gave me a scorecard of batting 800. So 80% right, 20% unconfirmed or still not proven true. I don't think I was really contradicted on anything as being untrue, but 80% proven true, which is in any game, that's pretty remarkable, and I'm very proud of it because this was a Patreon member going through and said, you said this is what was announced. That was right. You said this wasn't announced, but doesn't contradict what you said. Someone who went through the process, and we can share that.
Right. Yeah. So the first one, of course, was Oscar Isaac didn't show up, and so that didn't change whatsoever. We were told that he was canceled because of a scheduling conflict. It seems that it may have been more, and that seems to be further backed up by the events that happened. All right, so first we had the Mando and Grogu. So there was a leak that was addressed with that. Yeah, we have a character in the new story that's going to be kind of a smuggler type. Yeah. So that was one.
And so, I mean, I don't know if you can put up on screen or you just want to go through the points that were made. Whatever works for you easiest, we can just go through it.
I just figured I'd wait till you asked first.
You're welcome to. I mean, that's my Patreon subscribers get these days in advance, and they get to comment on it and share theories. And a lot of the theories that they presented are often proven true, not just my speculation, their speculation. So this is from this Patreon member YF, who's a very active on my Patreon, and they just went through everything, and then they went through and said what was announced, so we can go through it.
Yeah, so then we talked about the Mando and Grogu one. All right, so next was Ahsoka Season 2.
Yeah.
Confirmed that Season 2 will have 2 sections, one focusing on Ahsoka, Sabine, and Peridia, and the other following Ezra and the New Republic versus Thrawn.
Which is a specific thing that I was told, that the season was planned to be broken into two arcs. And of course, it makes sense. Those are the two storylines. Their characters are separated. It makes sense that those would be the two storylines. But as of at least now, it seems to be that they're going to be actually different arcs within the show, part 1 and part 2, and then I guess they'll come together, right?
Yeah.
But that was something I was told specifically, and that was exactly what was announced.
Yeah. So to do a little nerd thing for a quick second, do you think that this is because initially it seemed like we were going to get Thrawn trilogy, but then Lucasfilm is having trouble with budgeting live productions right now.
Yeah.
So it seems okay. So then, do you think that maybe that? So I wonder if Mando and Grogu is going to set up then the second season of Ahsoka, because I find it fascinating that they're going to split them up, because I am looking forward to following Ahsoka and Sabine, but that's kind of what I was hoping the focus was going to be.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it makes sense to split it up, because now our villain, because we have two storylines. We have Ahsoka and Sabine in another galaxy dealing with Balin, who's returning with a new actor, right? And whatever it seems to be related to the father, son, daughter storyline from the animated shows on Star Wars,
Rebels,
right?
yeah.
And so, Rebels, and that. The interesting part of that, as we've established, is that that's all linked to the world between worlds and alternative universes, and so that's a perfect place in that storyline to change or set Star Wars on a new timeline, because we've already established that it's already been established in Rebels that Ahsoka died in one timeline. Yeah. She was killed by Vader, and then another timeline, Ezra pulled her out of that world and brought her into the world between worlds, which has now been shown in Ahsoka. It's been shown in Ahsoka, and we're seeing that Ahsoka interacted with Anakin's spirit there, and we've confirmed that Anakin is coming back. That's been confirmed at Celebration. So the world between worlds will likely come back, and it seems to be the core and perfect place to reset the timeline if that is your goal. You got the tools for it.
And the other thing to mention too, like Ahsoka's impact being taken out, as others have theorized, is that when Grogu went to meditate, when he was supposed to meditate at Tython, well, that event didn't happen because Ahsoka didn't steer them there because she wasn't alive. And so what ends up happening is Grogu just gets captured, the Mandalorian and all the crew get killed at the end of season 2, because Luke doesn't show up to save the day. So now we'll see if that does actually get set in motion with Ahsoka season 2. So then, but then they're also going to focus on Thrawn and have a bit of Thrawn in it too.
And now we've established that not only is Thrawn, which makes sense, Thrawn was in it. He's now in another. We want to see what happens with Thrawn re-entering the galaxy. We want to see that, right? And now the wonderful news is that Admiral Akbar is going to be his adversary, which makes sense because Thrawn is an admiral. These are two admirals against each other, right? Thrawn is the strategic genius of the Empire, and Akbar is a strategic genius of the Alliance.
Yeah.
And we've actually I never realized it, but that's such an inevitable pairing that I don't know that it's been set in some of these novels, but I want to see that. And I just want to see Admiral Akbar get the honor that he was denied in The Last Jedi, where he's killed off screen, and even the actor Tim Rose was made to cry by the abuse that he was given by the crew. I mean, that's just horrifying. He said in an interview that he cried because he was abused and mocked by the crew for being a puppeteer and for the stupid character they're going to kill off. What kind of crew was on that shoot? God knows.
I heard that story and I was like, what? Who are these people? Like, what are we doing? We're taking a playbook. We're taking a playbook out of Kurtzman. We're now going to have Star Wars, made by people who hate Star Wars for people who hate Star Wars. Because that's.
I mean, I would think that that's what Rian Johnson probably filled the crew with. His people who shared his vision and wanted to kiss his butt. Well, they knew the boss hated Star Wars and was going to mock it. So they're just going along with the boss wants, right? I don't think this would have been the crew from the earlier stuff who loved Star Wars. No Star Wars fan would participate in this.
Like, say what you will about JJ's Farce Awakens and whatnot, but I remember just nothing but enthusiasm, not just from us fans when we started getting trailers, but when they started showing the behind the scenes. Like Simon Pegg straight up is on record saying, I can die now, after he played a guy in a costume. Scotty from Star Trek, guys. Like, that's not a small, that's not a small reaction. That's not a small feeling to have and be a part of something like, and I hope one day I still want to be a part of Star Wars. And, I'm as far away from Hollywood as you could probably get. But, the whole thing, that was so shocking to hear that story, because it was like, not only did Last Jedi miss several marks, it really did feel like like there was something that could have been there, but obviously it just
Well,
just
and
wasn't.
it felt that there was an ugly vibe to it.
Mhm.
There was just an ugly feeling to it.
Right.
There's movies you watch that are incompetently made, but they're made with good hearts. Like
Yes.
Ed Wood's entire career. Ed Wood's entire career was making good-hearted bad movies. This was a movie that was beautifully made, as Lucas said. Its cinematography is stunning, right? But there was an ugly heart to it.
Ugly
Something very
script. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugly, and well, as we found out, ugly people on set. So
Yeah, but so that's what. Yeah. So and now we can talk about again with the Ray movie, which has been eclipsed. So we can talk about that.
So this one was unexpected for
Yes.
me.
For most people, including myself. Yes.
And I don't. I mean, I'm a huge gamer. Now, my favorite Starfighter game was actually Jedi Starfighter. So I don't know what story this one's gonna be about. I don't know what the whole, but I do remember there, being a bit of a. I mean, yeah, there was a bit of a cult following in the Star Wars fandom because Starfighter games were very reminiscent of the Lawrence Holland era of Star Wars space simulators. So this is. I mean, this is huge for several reasons, but why don't you go ahead and talk about your enthusiasm, Cameron?
Sure. Okay. So let's link it first to the issue of the Ray movie. So I have said now for it feels like 2 years. I know it's been 2 years since it was announced at the last celebration, right? I've said for 2 years this is a fake movie, that there's never going to happen. There's no movie, and I've been mocked and ridiculed, and yet here we are 2 years later with no release date, no script, no end in sight for this movie that supposedly has our heroine from the trilogy, right? But now we have this other movie, which I have some concerns about how real it is, but let's just go with the official announcement. The official announcement to much excitement is that Sean Levy, a superb director, and Ryan Gosling, a superb actor, are going to be in this Starfighter movie that has a release date. I believe it's May of 2027. But it's 2027. It has a release date 1 year after the Mando Grogu movie, right? And this is something that we just heard about. We've heard Sean Levy's been playing with this. I went back to my Patreon. Sean Levy's been talking about doing something in Star Wars for about 2 or 3 years. I found old articles over 2 or 3 years ago from Sean Levy talking about doing something. And then in January of this year, he sort of leaks to the trades that he's got Ryan Gosling involved, right? Which caused a lot of things. But was it true or not? Well, Ryan Gosling came out on stage in front with Kathleen Kennedy. And so it looks as true as it can be. Whether that's real or not, we can talk about that in a second, whether that's totally baked and real. What we do know is that this movie that sort of got a shot in the arm with an actor being cast in it in January is suddenly allegedly now fast-tracked into production to be released 1 year after Mando and Grogu, 2 years from today, 2 years from now, right? That's about what you need to get a movie out. 2 years window. Where's the Ray movie? Ray movie's been out it's still in development 2 years later. We had a writer announced. We had our lead actress announced. Here we are 2 years later. The writer's gone. Still no script that's been approved. I mean, this movie ain't real. If they're gonna bring the sidetrack standalone project with a new character and a guy who's never been in Star Wars, Ryan Gosling, and they're gonna put that fast track that with a release date, I've been saying Ray movie ain't real. I mean, what more do you want? And I was just on a live stream with our good friend Paulie at Latino Slant, and and there was some insidious character shows up in the chat and says Ray movie's happening. You guys are full of crap. I was like, show me your evidence. What's your evidence of the movie's happening?
Show me.
What's your
show me the receipts.
Show me any evidence.
Show
me evidence. The script is there anything? Show me. Is there a release date? And then they of course disappear from the chat when you ask them for evidence.
Well, yeah, of course, because it's all about deciding reality just by making things up. Anyway, speaking of someone who does kind of the opposite of that most of the time, joining us now in the not too distant past is Corione. Welcome, Corione. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I just got home from work and saw you guys were on and figured I'd try to jump in if I could.
Any thoughts about Starfighter and the never-ending Ray movie?
I mean, look, the Ray movie is one of those, pop culture cryptids. It's the pop culture version of the Loch Ness Monster. it shows up whenever people, when the tourism to Loch Ness goes down. And, otherwise it doesn't seem to appear anywhere. So I'm kind of feeling that way about it. As for the Starfighter movie, look, if I recall correctly, at one point, Sparrow said they were resurrecting the X-Wing movie in kind of a different direction a little bit, and taking
Yeah,
it
that's
in more
right.
of
That's right. That was a Patty
whole-
Jenkins, movie, the Rogue Squadron, that again
yeah.
has vanished from the conversation. But go on.
right. But they said they were bringing that back as kind of like a Iron Eagle in space
That's
thing.
right. That was one of the
remember that
mentions.
one.
So now you
And-
think it's Starfighter.
And
It
I
could
think
be-
it might be Starfighter. I mean, it would make
Thanks for
logical
reminding me.
sense.
That's my own scoop, and you reminded me as a Patreon subscriber. That
Well-
came from Sparrow about 6 months ago that they were playing with that. I'm going to repost that to Patreon. Hey guys, maybe this is the one. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that one.
Well, I mean, we gotta,
Good
we gotta
connection.
up your batting average, right? I think that's at least puts it up a little bit further.
So yeah, now I think you are in the 80. I think we're in the B+ territory.
No, now we're in the 90s. If this Starfighter was that project, then we're at 90%, 900 batting average there.
yeah.
The only thing that would be left would be, we're going to get to it, is this small project. That's the only thing I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I'd have to double check the animation post, which I think we're going to get into here in a minute. But specifically for what you had mentioned in in that same animation post, actually, now that I'm recalling, is that celebrations seem to heavily hint at live-action projects are going to be fewer in the immediate future, which we can now confirm because earlier, I think like last year or so, there was talk that, when Thrawn goes back after Ahsoka Season 1, it's going to be the Thrawn trilogy, and that's what the Grogu movie was supposed to, or the Mando and Grogu movie was supposed to springboard. But now they've kind of reduced it a little bit to, okay, now Thrawn trilogy is going to kind of start in Season 2 of Ahsoka as well. So that confirms that we are shifting kind of out of the live-action budget for a time, which makes sense. A lot of the live-action hasn't been that great, but hopefully that changes tonight. More on that at the end of this recording. So we do have... we had announcements of more Lego projects, no surprise there, and more Visions, and now we're getting Visions spin-offs.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
So what's interesting about the Visions thing is that it again confirms what my contact Sparrow told me from Disney, which is that they had said that one of the ideas that was being fast-tracked internally at Lucasfilm was a animated show that dealt with the underworld, the criminal underworld, which included, as they said, bounty hunters. And now we've got a bounty hunter, and Ventress show, which fulfills that. I mean,
right,
what Ventress is doing? She's out in the criminal underworld. It's bounty hunters. That's what it is. So that's a direct confirmation of that project.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that, like, what Sparrow gets to see is probably not the finished product in most cases,
Sure.
but more like the brainstorming session room kind of information. So everything may not be 100% accurate by the time it goes to film, but we're getting a general idea most of the time from Sparrow that seems to be pretty right on.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's all, again, without identifying who the source is. They're in a position to be in the flow of information. And not all information is finalized when it passes through their hands, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But again, that's so. And now with regard to Kennedy, and I never did claim that Kennedy was going to leave or announce her retirement. I never claimed that because I know she's going to fight announcing that retirement to the last second that she has. We've already seen it.
Yep.
3 trades have announced her retirement. The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and Puck have announced her retirement 2 months ago, and she fought it in Deadline. Clumsily, but she fought it. So I've never claimed she's going to do that. But if you want to read that, what the gentleman was saying.
Yeah. So while Cameron Sparrow didn't outright say Star Wars Celebration would be a final hurrah for Kennedy, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it was sort of implied, and it happened. I think Kennedy was only really present on the first day, and that was like when people were just going nuts about, oh, she's still there and still involved, and that was to announce another new movie that may or may not happen. Almost everything else seems to be shifting away from Kennedy to focus back on Mando and Grogu, Ahsoka Season 2 hype, Anakin coming back, Akbar coming back, Visions, the love of the fans. Not to mention Filoni and Favreau's constant presence. I agree with those wishing for something explicit regarding her future, but as we've learned from Cameron, timing is important. Personally, I would have loved it if Favreau, Filoni, or really anyone went off script at the closing ceremony and announced this was Kennedy's final Star Wars celebration as Lucasfilm president. Yes, we would.
But now let's get to it. That allows us to transition, because what was the news today, 48 hours after the end of Star Wars Celebration? We did not get this announcement she's leaving at Star Wars Celebration. 48 hours later, Jeff Snyder, who is an entertainment blogger and has been a direct source conduit for Kathleen Kennedy's inner circle, because even up to, as of, I'll mention it, 24 hours ago, he posted something that was clearly from Kathleen Kennedy's people, not from Favreau's people. So this person posted on his Insider website that that, according to what he's hearing, Kennedy is out in August, which is earlier than Matthew Belloni at Puck and the trades were saying. They were saying end of the year. Now we're accelerated to August, and I have my theories as to why, number one, I believe that to be true, and number one, why it would be accelerated to August. But now, within 48 hours of the end of Celebration, one of her allies, we're not talking about Kamran Pasha, or P.D. York putting out theories. This is someone who's been funneling Kennedy information to the world, is saying she's leaving in August. We've never had that before. They always defend and deflect and say she's not going anywhere. For him to do this, let's say he's wrong. Let's say he got this from non-Kennedy source. He's burned that Kennedy bridge forever. He wouldn't do it. It had to have been from her circle. It may not have been from her, Kennedy herself, who I think will resist announcing it to the very end. And maybe one of these people that will, like in a straitjacket at the end of the day, claiming I'm still president of Lucasfilm 15 years from now, right? In some mental hospital, right? Claiming that, right? That might be her final outcome. But her people are realizing, I got to find a job. I got to get my resume out there. I can't put my resume out there if people don't know that she's going, right? Otherwise, people are like, why put your resume out there? But she's not going anywhere, right? Why? And so, they got reason to let this out there. And here we go.
Yeah, so this is from the StarWarsNews.net, and now we've got Hollywood journalist Jeff Snyder revealed that the producer turned Okay, so this is from. I'm just trying to get to the. Okay, this I think is the source tab.
Yeah, but I believe it's a paywall. It's a paywall, understandably.
Yeah.
If I had a direct line to Kathleen Kennedy, if I was her spokesperson, I would ask people to pay me for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something to do with that drama being consistently wrong when you're funneling her information. I should get a payout for that.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the proof will be in the pudding, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If she leaves in August, then we know what's going on and we know why, we have the information there. If she doesn't, I mean, hey, Cameron, guess what? We get to make that argument with them now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems, so it sounds like we did have some earlier at the end of the year, early 2026, but yeah, it looks like now we're getting narrowed down to a month, which August, which is not that
Can I
far
theorize
away.
now? I'd like to give my theory. As to why.
Yes.
This is actually a theory that people on my Patreon have been speculating, and I agree with them. Because what happened just a few weeks ago was the judge in the Gina Carano Disney trial granted her motion to compel Discovery, to force Lucasfilm to give over stuff that it says it doesn't want to give over, right? Which would put Disney, in a bind. And I stated at the time that now is the moment of truth. When the judge is compelling you to go forward with Discovery, what are you going to do? Go contempt of court? What are you going to do? You have to either give over information that's clearly damaging for you. That's why you're not willing to reveal it to the other side. So you have to either give that over and now let the other side have damaging emails and communications that could destroy people's reputations at the level of a Kathleen Kennedy or Bob Iger, right? You could have that, or you settle it out with Carano. But the problem is, how can you settle out with Carano? Carano only wants one thing. She's only asked for one thing. She wants her job back. That's the lawsuit. The lawsuit, there's a minimum $75,000, which is required in federal court. You have to meet a minimum claim. So she asked that. She doesn't need $75,000. God bless her. She's a millionaire already. She's from a successful family. She's a wealthy person. She doesn't need $75,000, right?
Yeah,
That's why
she spends that on snacks. Like, let's be clear.
Or gym equipment. But it's a meaningless number for her. And it's and that's why she didn't ask for more. She could ask for $20 million in damages. She didn't, because she's not seeking that. what's the thing she asked for? $75,000 to get into the court, plus give me my job back as Cara Dune. So now, in order to give her job back, which is what she's asked for, then they can't do that if Kathleen Kennedy is still officially president, because then Kathleen Kennedy is in the awkward position of having to explain to her elite crowd at cocktail parties, to the extent that she's being invited to any anymore, but to maybe like some of the universities that she sits on, on the board of, as we know, to the people that whose respect she wants. She has to explain to them, how could you let this neo-Nazi anti-Semite back into your company under your employ? How do you guys even get along in the office? Can she answer? I didn't have a choice in the matter. I'm not in charge. I don't worry about sitting at the office because I haven't been in the office in 2 years, right? She can answer. Can she say that? She can't say that, but you're putting her in the position to say that, so she has to be let go. So now, a few weeks, and right after this, maybe it's a couple of weeks after this judge makes this surprise ruling, which really did shock Disney from what I was told. They didn't expect it. It shocked Iger. He thought he was going to get Discovery covered because he's so powerful. He didn't get it. And then right after Celebration, it comes out that she's leaving in August, which, guess what? That gives you more than enough time to shoot pickup scenes of her in the Mando Grogu movie. I have said, people asked me just yesterday, how much time does she have to still appear in the Mando Grogu movie now that we've seen footage from it at Celebration? Wonderful footage, exciting footage, right?
Yeah, it looked good.
And it's coming out May of next year. So I said, usually you need about 6 months before release. That's about your limit, because you've got to go through post and marketing and everything else. So basically about 6 months before May of next year. So I said by fall of this year, she's gotta, if you want Carano in there, she has till fall of this year to get some shots in. August is perfect timing for that. What a coincidence.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, the math works out that, I'm going to put this out here.
Please.
And, the math works out in such a beautiful way. It almost makes you wonder if Iger planned it to go down this way and intentionally had Discovery happen the way it did and ordered his lawyers to do it this way to force Kennedy's hand to leave.
Well, I mean, he's certainly the kind of strategic person, a man who re-seized his lost job and pushed out the CEO of Disney to get back his job. It's a man like that has some foresight and planning.
Yeah.
Bob Chapek was more powerful than Kathleen Kennedy, and he got rid of that guy in one weekend.
It almost makes you wonder, doesn't it, if that was Iger's plan the whole time, some sort of, novel chess move almost to force Kennedy's hand.
It fits some of the early reports we got from our contact Sparrow inside of Disney, which was saying that Iger was threatening last year to release some damaging emails on his own, the stuff that would come out through Discovery through sort of a engineered leak, like the Sony leak, right? Which to this day has been blamed on alleged North Korean hackers rather than the more likely adversaries of Amy Pascal who wanted to get her out, right? That seems the more probable origin of the leak, but whatever, that's theoretical. But I was reporting to my Patreon a year ago that he had been threatening her, you come to terms with me on your departure, or these are going out regardless of Gina Carano, right? And so my understanding is she did come to terms with him in the fall because of that threat, but then she still refused to go. She still refused, and then so suddenly now you got to force her hand, and you force her hand through a double whammy of having Jon Favreau slip it to Puck and Hollywood Reporter and Variety that she's leaving this year, plus potentially this maneuver where he tells them play it out all the way until the court forces us. So we have to go to Kathy saying, Kathy, we didn't want to do this. We don't want to force you out. But you don't want these emails out. We don't want these emails out. It's in your interest to step down, and we need to resolve this. So I think August is when you got to do it, because John's going to need her in August, and she won't be satisfied unless she won't be satisfied with getting her job back to reappear in a TV show 5 years from now. She wants to be in this Grogu movie, right? That's what she wants. And the only way we can get her in, Kathy, is we need to have her filming by August, September. You're going to have to step out to preserve your dignity. Korean, it certainly fits the Machiavellian nature of Iger to do something like that, because it's not his fault now. It's not his fault. He's been pushed by forces beyond his control.
Yeah. All right, Cameron, I know we've only got I think about 20 minutes left or so.
Yeah, I
You
got
do
that
have-
other stuff that I have to deal with. But yes, but we've dealt with a lot. We've talked about. Maybe we can talk a little bit about this Ryan Gosling movie and why I'm still hesitant to say it's greenlit. It may very well be greenlit and be in production soon. I'm still hesitant until I hear from my source inside of Disney, because I have some questions that continue to be raised. Have been raised by new information today, and I would like those questions addressed, because until those questions are addressed, I'm not sure it's a done deal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, like I said, I think to me it fits the Iron Eagle in space theory that was put forward by Sparrow.
Mhm.
And I think that, you know, look, Ryan Gosling is a pretty actor, but he is also a fairly competent actor. So if you were going to have him helm something, this would probably be a good spot.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, yeah.
He's probably sick and tired of doing romance movies at this point. So having something where he gets to be a little bit more action focused would probably be something he'd like.
He said Blade Runner 2049 was some of the most fun he'd had,
Mhm.
you know, making a movie. So he obviously likes sci-fi. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars is more science fantasy, but still, this would Ryan Gosling in a Starfighter movie. Okay, I'm already
Sure.
there. Done.
You know, yeah, like why not, right? And so
How
I
soon are
think
tickets
that's
available?
And he played Neil Armstrong. He played
Right.
Neil
Yeah.
Armstrong in First Man, and he was superb, because the movie's mostly about him as a fighter pilot before he gets into space, and he's really good in that.
yeah. So
I'd
mean,
rather have him, but instead of, you know, Tom Cruise and Starfighter. Oh, no.
no. I mean, look, other than the director, I mean, everything else seems to line up for me fairly well. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm leaning, but
Yeah.
you know, otherwise it seems like it's a plausible movie. Whether it actually goes forward or not, I don't know, but it
Yeah,
seems plausible from that perspective.
And it would likely be a good movie. You have a good combination. Sean Levy, who has consistently shown that he knows how to make popular entertainment that people want, and Ryan Gosling, who's consistently made good movies. You know, he knows what his audience wants from him. Even his indie films are well done. This guy's been hitting a pretty good track record. I don't know that many flops that he has. He knows his market. He knows how to appeal to it. You know, and I think he took over Barbie. He transformed Barbie into a male, you know, cry for male help against the evils of feminism, which is remarkable. Nobody would imagine Barbie would turn into that, but he could do it. And so, look, I actually think this movie would be great. You know, I've said on my Patreon that I think it's fake because I haven't seen evidence of it. So now let me raise the questions, because what is the evidence it's happening? Well, the evidence is pretty solid. You have Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling on stage in celebration, announcing this movie, giving us some details about it, that it's a standalone movie that allegedly takes place after the sequel trilogy. But from the very fact that, as Sean Levy said, it is neither a sequel nor a prequel, it could fit in anywhere into the Star Wars storyline, and potentially any story timeline in which, you know, the sequels did or did not happen, because it's independent of them. He's established that. But they're on stage with Kathleen Kennedy saying it, and we have a release date of 2027. How can it be not more real? And yet I still have questions and concerns that suggest it might not. Maybe it's 80% real, but it's not closed, I think, yet.
I agree. I agree. There's more of a. So I'll put it to you this way. I would put money that the Starfighter movie is going to materialize over the Rey movie.
But there's no Rey movie, so yes, I mean, that's an easy bet. You've just won the lotto.
So at least we can at least say there's more plausibility, because now we do have a release. We do actually have a date. They never really set a date on. I don't think they gave us a date with Rey movie. It just said coming soon or in development, and then it was the blobs or the insiders or whatever that were throwing dates out there. I could be mistaken, but I don't think the Rey movie actually ever got a year announced. Mando and Grogu got a year announced, and so far that's tracking true to come through. And
and we've seen footage. It's filming.
Exactly. So and now
And
Starfighter
I would
has
even argue not just footage, right? But we saw footage with the CG complete, right?
Yeah.
We have an animated purple character there, right? I mean,
Zeb's back.
You know, yeah, Zeb's back, but that to me says you don't do that kind of work unless either A, you're really sure this trailer is going to be something, or B, it's actually all done, and what they're waiting on now is some minor components, right?
Yeah. 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 I So if it is going to be based off of the original game, then we're going back to the prequel era, because the first Starfighter movie takes place as Naboo's
Or
Starfighter
game.
pilot.
Yeah.
If it's based off of the second game, then we're doing Jedi Starfighter, but that main character was Adi Gala, so I don't know where Ryan Gosling comes in, or maybe they're going to change it. I don't know.
I think it's
So-
generic Starfighter, like Corian has wisely suggested from an earlier Sparrow report.
Yeah.
That they're reworking some of this, some of this like X-wing, fighter, dog fighting movie may have been reworked into something. It may very well looks like it was reworked into this.
Well, and that's the other thing, though, too. If that's the case, then that was supposed to be Rogue One. Then that indicates it's going to be Mando era. So,
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Right? I mean,
We'll see.
Uh,
But, yeah. I mean, again,
So-
it's 2 years away. 2 years away, and so now let me address why I'm concerned that there are some holes in this that still need to be filled to make this a fully real movie, and maybe they'll be filled this afternoon. Maybe more evidence will come out today, and I'll be great. It's over. This movie's happening. But these are the issue. Primary issue is that they have been publicly announced casting problems with this movie, which do not make sense to me. So last week, it was initially in the sort of, the fan world. Somebody had leaked to the fan sites that Mikey Madison, the Oscar-winning star of Anora, who I have great affection for as an actress, I think she's a wonderful actress, Mikey Madison was slated to appear in the Sean Levy movie. And then to people's surprise, the trades officially quashed that rumor from the fan sites. The trades put out a statement from her agent saying that she has passed on the project within a few hours of these rumors building steam, right? So somebody shut that down. So Mikey Madison, walked away from a Star Wars movie. Now, let's give that a little bit of context. So Mikey Madison is a wonderful actor. She's primarily done indie films. She's done this Anora, the one the Oscar, is an indie film, financed independently. It's a small movie with no major stars, including her. And then previously, she had appeared in high-profile movies in small roles. She appeared in Scream, where she played, spoiler alert, one of the killers, right? And again, but these are Scream. These aren't the biggest actors in the world, just franchise actors that are beloved, right? And then she played. Then she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where she played one of the Manson killers, right? Where she was up with the big cast. You've got Brad Pitt, you got Margot Robbie, you got some big cast in there, right? And so it's. But then she was playing a small character who's a crazy killer, right? And here's a chance for her to be opposite Ryan Gosling in a Star Wars franchise, which is not only a major movie, it's going to be a massive revenue stream for her because they will inevitably create a toy for her, right? And that toy is going to give her royalties for the rest of her life, right? And so no one turns down a Star Wars movie. No one, to my knowledge, has ever turned down a Star Wars movie, ever in history. Star Wars turns people down. It's turned stars down. People don't turn down Star Wars, ever, right? I've never heard of it. And so and you say, well, she's an Oscar winner, she doesn't need it. That's not true. For two reasons. One is, sadly, there's a consistent pattern that female Oscar winners' careers tank afterwards, and they struggle to get back up. We've seen this, consistently, and it's the misogyny of this town, and I think I can say that even as a conservative male, that there's misogyny in this town, and the idea is, well, we got the hot chick, her statue, get her off the stage, the next hot chick, right? That's the mindset of this town, right? And so most of them struggle to get work after that. What is Natalie Portman doing now, right after her Oscar win? She's doing stupid little movies with projects with Lena Dunham. I mean, it's a major fall from an Oscar winner, right? And they all go through that fall, women, sadly. So if you're being right off your indie film Oscar win, you're being offered Star Wars, like with Ryan Gosling and Shia LaBeouf, you don't turn that down, because then you have a chance to become mainstream and you don't fall into the trap, the Oscar winner trap for women. It's one, and so secondly, it just doesn't make any sense for any actor to turn it down. But then that leads us to today. Which suddenly we have reports coming out that not just Mikey Madison, 4 other actors have passed on Sean Levy's movie. And these are people that are not well-known Hollywood. These are all good actors, working actors, but they're not household names. If you want to pull that article up, I mean, this shocked me. And it's coming from The Direct, which again has been a consistent conduit of Kathleen Kennedy propaganda. And they're stating, and they're citing this gentleman, I think Lichtman is his name, who does Hollywood Scoops. They're citing him, but why would they publish this as a Kathleen Kennedy spokesofficer? And they list these 5, you can just quickly go through them. List these 5 actors: Jesse Plemons, right? Jodie
Yeah.
Comer, who I think is a wonderful actress. I love her, but she's not a name. Mikey Madison, who is a name only because she won the Oscar. And Sarah Snook, again, solid actress, not a name most people are saying it yet. And same with Greta Lee, all good actors. I would cast any of them. I'd be honored to work with them. But as of yet, they're not yet A-list actors. Hopefully they get there, right? Why would these people turn down Star Wars? This is winning the lottery for these people. This is a chance from going from small TV work, which is mostly what they're doing, and small roles in bigger movies, to being in the biggest franchise on earth and having toys that are going to make them money until they're old.
I honestly,
why would you turn it down?
Because I think that the Acolyte has successfully done more damage to the brand, and also the Rey movie is doing more damage to the brand than.
But
than
I
think
would
we could have
disagree.
anticipated.
I would disagree. That's a damage in the fandom. That's not a damage in Hollywood. Hollywood, nobody turns down Star Wars. No one in Hollywood is thinking Star Wars is finished. The fans are saying Star Wars is dead. No one in Hollywood is saying
not necessarily finished, controversial, career ending.
To whom? Not to.
Well,
not
I mean,
to
the cast
tell-
of the Acolyte doesn't have a job anymore, and
Yeah,
I
but-
mean,
but-
those characters
But
are
but
likely
that's because. But nobody cares about them. They weren't big shots anyway. Carrie Ann Moss is fine. Carrie Ann Moss is going to work for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
These people weren't big actors for the most part anyway, right?
Well, no.
And nobody. I tell you from Hollywood, no one in Hollywood is talking about the Acolyte. They don't care about it.
Because everyone
not
on
even
Twitter
talking
likes
about
to resurrect it every once in a while.
But,
Well,
the-
let,
but
me, let me ask you this. Is it possible that the reason why these guys turned it down is because there have been so many people making fake movie announcements
Right.
to Star Wars
Yeah, because
that they just naturally assumed that this was another fake?
well, let me take that, Corey, on to the
So-
next level, because we're not living in the we're not. These aren't fans. You raised very well. These aren't fans. These are people with agents. Agents who are calling business affairs at Lucasfilm and saying, "What's the offer? You're making. What's the money? When's it filming? What's it happening?" And whatever the answer they got wasn't enough for them to close the deal. The agents
Yeah.
only care about money. So the answer was either we haven't quite locked down the money for this, which is what happened with the Acolyte, which the lawsuit of the Acolyte, where I went out and they hired Karen McCarthy when they didn't have a green light. It almost feels like that's what happened here, where 5 different agents called and said, "Oh, you guys want us to do this? We'd love to work with Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy. What's the production start date? What's the budget? What's the financial offer? Oh, we're still working on that. Oh, you're still working on that? Click."
Yeah.
That's the
And I
only
mean-
reason these agents would do that.
That to me makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
That they were approached before everything was locked down, and potentially now maybe the movie's getting made, maybe it isn't, but that might have been the timing of it versus the trust in Lucasfilm is not as good as it once was.
But that again leads to the issue right there. I think that's right. But Mikey Madison turned down this movie last week, 2 days before it comes out on Celebration. So as of last week, it wasn't solidified. For an Oscar winners, people to say it's not enough for us, we're out, right?
Yeah.
As of last week, so maybe something has happened in those 48 hours since Mikey left. It feels like something did, but up to that point, they didn't have something. It was enough for people to say, "Yeah, get back to us when you're real." Click.
And we also don't know necessarily when Mikey Madison said she got turned it down. She may have turned it down
But no,
weeks or
I think
months
we do.
ago.
I think we do, because the rumor
Okay.
spread that morning. The reason I think we do is the rumor spread that morning. That would not have been leaked out had she passed a month before.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it was leaked out that morning and then contradicted that within an hour. So they were hoping to generate buzz, and I think it was Kennedy's people were hoping to generate buzz around Mikey Madison, only to have that quashed.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly.
So yeah, he's still trying to generate excitement and funding for it, so it's not necessarily a sure thing either. But let's go ahead and shift gears here and finish on Star Wars' return to greatness, which is going to be happening tonight with the release of Andor Season 2. Personally, loved Andor Season 1. I didn't watch it until Ahsoka was released, and we just did a side-by-side comparison. One of our chief complaints of Andor was that it lacked, the Star Wars part of Star Wars, whereas Ahsoka could have done a bit stronger on some of the story and some of the scenes, but so each had its strength and its weakness. Honestly, from what I've seen for Season 2, it looks like we're gonna keep the plot sophistication and the character driven stories, but it looks like there's a bit more of excitement to come this season. So, but Cameron, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for Andor. I was a little iffy on Andor in the first episode. I didn't know where this thing was going. And then I really came to like it. And, I guess there's people that still dislike Andor. There's people on Patreon like, I hated it. But people either really dislike it or they really like it. And I'm of the people that really liked it because I like the political thriller element of it. I thought the casting was great. I thought the Mon Mothma story arc of the internal politics of the Senate was absolutely fascinating. For me, this is enriching the world of Star Wars of what the rebellion was. The rebellion just a bunch of plucky farmers from, outer rim planets getting on an X-wing, right?
Yeah.
This was
I'm just gonna leave my farm and get in a spaceship and then destroy all the space Nazis. Yeah.
I mean, that's the end of the process.
Right.
This is how the process began and continued.
Exactly.
And for me, Star Wars should be about unsung heroes. And these are the unsung heroes. I mean, that's what Andor is. He's casting Andor dies. Spoiler alert. Rogue One, he dies.
For those who haven't seen Andor season 3 yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's Rogue One, and dude's dead, right? So we know this ain't gonna work out for him. He's gonna die an unsung hero, like the poor Bothans on the second Death Star who died. We don't know what their names were, right?
Right. Yeah.
The ones who got the information, right? So I love this show. I'm really excited for the second season. The trailers that I've seen are exciting.
See, I've always assumed that the Bothan that died to bring them the Death Star plans, his name was Many. It was actually just one dude named Many.
Many Bothans. Yeah, our secret agent man.
Well, look, we all remember that sad moment. Many Bothans died. We all remember that one throwaway line, right?
Right.
Because it stayed with us.
But you have to admit, it would be hilarious if, in the post Return of the Jedi, like a moment on Coruscant where we see just one Bothan and his name is Many. And it's a statue to him right beside the statue to Andor, right? That would be hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, and it is. But this is. I'm glad that they tried this experiment. Kathleen Kennedy would take credit for it. Let her take credit for it. Rogue One was a good movie. She can take credit for that. I don't know how. Yeah. My guesses are she wasn't very heavily involved in what made a good movie. Just like I don't think she was very heavily. I think this was all Tony Gilroy, and because Gilroy's popular and she likes the popular boys in the school, the popular girls, she just let Gilroy run with it. Normally, when she let people run with things like Rian Johnson, it led to disaster. In this case, it led to, I think, a visionary show, right? So
Guys, I've got to pop out.
All right. So can we talk about some of the stuff? Will you have ability to talk on the phone after?
Call me after. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
And I need to wind down to in a moment, so take care.
Yep. Yeah. No, I completely understand. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What I really was happy about, some people were hesitant about the 3-episode release plus jumping the timeline ahead a couple years every week, which honestly I'm all for it because that means if we can just I did not like Rogue One at first. I thought it was just Star Wars nostalgia bait with, guys go get secret plans for weapon thing. And well, I was very happy with what we got as a result with Andor being what it was. And now we've got season 2. But man, I am just ready to move on from this era of Star Wars. I think we have said enough stories in this part of the timeline. There is so much more in a galaxy far, far away we can talk about, which is why I'm excited for Mando and Grogu to see where that goes.
And guess what? We can still bring back beloved people from this timeline and evolve their story, as we're seeing with Anakin and Ahsoka. Right. He, as a Force ghost, is moving forward in the story. We want to see where that's going. This is new Vader stuff we haven't seen.
Exactly. So, well, Cameron, thank you so much for your time this fine afternoon. We do appreciate all of your insights and giving us your perspectives, and of course allowing us to share your thoughts on everything, as well as we always appreciate.
And I hope I may be able to come back for your viewers maybe as quickly as within 24 hours of this video, because I'm getting alerts that we might have some new information from my sources at Disney. Once I put that on Patreon, maybe we'll do a secondary video tomorrow or the day after to develop that further, so people should know about it. Okay.
Sounds good to me. All right, we'll be in touch. But until then, have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you when I see you.
Everyone, hit the subscribe. It's a great channel. God bless everyone. Peace. Thank you.
And we're back to the present. Joining me once again is Pollo Zapatos, who wasn't able to make the interview because he had to work.
You make real money, not
make money and
Bitcoin.
support a family and a child. Oh, it's excuses with this guy. Anyway, so yeah, there you have it, folks. That was Kamran giving us a rundown of our Star Wars Celebration scorecard. And of course, right at the end, talking about Andor Season 2, which is now live. I am already behind on my reactions. We have 3 episodes. Jesus, I'm not getting to bed till midnight tonight. What the hell? I can't watch all this tonight. I've got freaking work in the morning. So, yeah, I mean, Cameron might have a follow-up special, and I might just start doing an Andor Season 2 special for the shows, so that way we can get some traction on the algorithms, because, well, we've been doing this show for 3 years, and every time we've put off our reviews a week, it's already old news. And of course, with, you know, our show now being contentious with the time slot of Andor dropping, it's probably just going to make sense to do an Andor review special throughout the week.
I'm just going to turn it on after this here podcast and then start doing shorts.
Do it. Yeah. Pollo's reaction, and I'll do mine too.
It's just going to be this. What?
Oh my god, there's the things that happened. So yeah, so we want to get on to Andor, but let's go ahead and quickly finish out the let's go ahead and quickly finish out the there we go. Jeez, freaking thing didn't want to go. Finish out the Entertainment Information Intelligence podcast with, you know, a little bit of an actual intelligence overview. This coming to us from CBR. Warner Bros. Officially confirms new Gremlins and Goonies movies. I just have one thing to say to that. Just one. Just one. John, do you know what that thing is that I have to say to that? John. He's away from his post. Great.
Sorry, new Gremlins, Goonies movies?
Yeah.
Man, nobody is listening and nobody's paying attention because I don't know if anybody noticed what the was the one we just watched, the Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
Like, that was a very fun Goonies.
Right. Exactly.
Why are we gonna go read it? Gremlins is a fun one until you remember what Gremlins was actually about, and it was making fun of a very traumatic experience where most of the pilots in World War I and II were on meth.
Yeah, yeah. So here's what I have to say to new Gremlins and new Goonies.
Nah.
Moving on. In considerably better news, Carl Urban is returning to play Dredd in a new series at Amazon. From the same team that brought us The Boys. Okay, this... Hold on, I got a comment to read. Let's see. We'll catch up on comments first. Cosmic Vader says, Andor is a way to say that you can have an attention span that can only be measured in nanoseconds or with lightsabers, okay? Like, apparently Theory needs a lightsaber in the movie. He probably thought that Darth Maul was the only good part of Solo, and that was probably his favorite part. But I'm just being an ass making assumptions. Would love to have Star Wars Theory on our show anytime to argue this with us. 1 second. Cosmic Vader says, improvised watch along. Yes, exactly. That's no, we're not doing that. Sorry, buddy. We're just gonna finish up the thing and go from there. Let's see. It would be interesting if the Goonies movie is about the children of the original movie that grew with the story of their parents finding a treasure. There maybe. Like, we'll see how Naked Gun comes out, because that looks pretty funny. Ghostbusters Afterlife, obviously, you know, was so good they got a sequel. And they managed to forget the 2016 Ghostbusters. But, yeah, if that's how they're gonna do it, kind of a legacy sort of show, I think that could work. I'd remake Gremlins, but as a rated R horror film. Alright, you got my attention with it. Cosmic Vader, you're kind of flipping that article. Now I wish I had gone back. But anyway. It says, maybe watching while holding one of his lightsabers would help. Yeah, exactly. Just have his lightsaber in his hand so he can play with it and pretend he's in there. I'll save you, Andor! Anyway. God, I'm a dick. Carl Urban returning as Dredd. This makes me extremely, extremely happy. Reason being, if those of you who don't know, I actually did like the Carl Urban Dredd film. I thought it was incredible that he was able to pull off the character and didn't even remove his helmet. Like, all we had was this the whole time, and he just nailed it. Like, probably one of the best movies ever made, honestly, just in its own right. The fact that we have the boys on this team, yeah, I mean, I've certainly stopped watching this show, I think, midway through season 2, because just the hyper-realistic cartoon violence just gets so grotesque to a point where I'm like,
awesome.
why am I watching this? Why am I doing this to my brain? Anyway.
It's fun and inventive, and CGI has gotten so impressive.
Oh, no, they use practical effects in the boys, too. Like, that's part of what sells it. But they are, I can't deny the fact that they are talented and that they're good at what they do. And, well, I don't know. Maybe I don't have to worry about Dredd, you know, fucking an octopus. So I guess it should be fine. We're going to go ahead and shift back to the Warner Bros. Here. 2 iconic movie franchises from the 80s officially rebooted. Warner Bros. Has verified Goonies and Gremlins will be revived. Gremlins and the Goonies back with new films. Let's see. I'm curious to see. Gremlins 3 was being developed in 23. The horror holiday fantasy film Gremlins was released in 84. In addition to live-action films, Gremlins also boasts an animated series on Max. Oh, so this is looking to be kind of an inevitability then. Secrets of Magawa, or Magaway. Mogawa? Debuted in the streamer in 2023. Oh, I didn't know that. Goonies sequel has been rumored for some time. Chris Columbus has penned in 1985's Goonies with Steven Spielberg, directed by Richard Donner. The teen adventure stars Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, Jeff Cohen, Corey Feldman. I don't think he'll be reprising his role. Kiyoe Kwan, Martha Plimpton, and Carrie Green. February Deadline reported that Potsky been brought on to write the sequel to the 40-year-old movie for Warner Bros., but no information on a story was released. A director at the time was not announced, but Spielberg, Christy Mikazo, Krieger, and Holly Berrio are producing the sequel for Ambient Entertainment. So, unfortunately, Cosmic Vader, no indications on that one as far as whether or not it's going to be one of those. All right. From Sinners to Itole, a complete guide to this week's entertainment. Okay, so from The Guardian, I guess it's telling us what movies are out. Oh, I didn't screen this one. Sorry, people. I thought this was good to go. All right, here's something I don't know anything about. Adolescence continues ascent, now at number 3 on most popular TV list. I have no idea what this show is, so we're going on for a little trip. In the 5
Yeah, so
weeks...
I've watched none of it.
Oh, already throwing a freaking nail in the coffin. All right, I'm curious. You made a motion on the floor, but since you're the only writer brother here, chances his motion's going to carry. But I would like justification, please.
No, I said I've watched none of it. I have no idea what it is.
Wow, I totally misheard you. I thought you said I voted. I vote we watched none of it. Okay, that's how much. What is here and now? I guess the pre-recorded interview stuff is throwing me off. For some reason, I'm thinking, you know what? If I mess up this take, I'll just click stop recording. Oh, no, wait, I'm live. Shit. In the 5 weeks since its release, the acclaimed limited series Adolescence has now topped 124 million views. Someday, little micro channel, that'll be us. Moving into number 3 spot on the most popular English TV list. Its 9.7 million views this week earns it a number 2 ranking in the English TV list as it continues to drive important conversations globally. All right, getting my interest here. This article might be talking me into a new show. Documentary series were popular this week with Bad Influences: The Dark Side of Kidfluencing debuting at number 1 on the English TV list, and Gone Girls, Long Island Serial Killer, blah blah blah. Oh, I thought this was going to tell me more about the show. This is just telling me what shows are popular. Adolescence. When a 13-year-old is accused of the murder of a classmate, his family therapist and the detective in charge are all left asking what really happened. Oh, yeah, okay, I can see why that might get popular. So yeah, at this point, I think most everybody's gonna head off to watch Andor season 2, and yeah, so those are some of your pop culture highlights for this week. We do hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Yeah, John, any closing thoughts?
No, honestly, I loved the interview. Really happy Corian was able to get in on there, and I'm excited for Andor, so I'll have some real thoughts. REEL.
I think that means that it's time to, time to accept our fate at this point. We're probably going to be doing 1 hour short shows starting earlier for the next, 3 more shows after tonight because of Andor. And so we'll, just get through it as we do. I want to thank everybody for watching and commenting. Cosmic Vader, Stephanie Janizik, Smuggler's Cantina, and of course everybody who lurked. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, tell all your friends. We got to grow this channel our own way. I'm Peter with the Writer Brothers. We'll catch you on the next E2IP. This has been a presentation of the Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast from the Writer Brothers. The Writer Brothers, restoring respect into discourse.